Hi, Jeremy the Tall Trainer here, and here's a little board that covers a lot of things about how to get in a calorie deficit. So in order to lose weight, we have to be in a calorie deficit, because if we're not losing weight, that means we're not in a calorie deficit, because the weight is either going to come off of the calories are going to either come from our food or they're going to come from off of our body. And so what we want to do is we want some of the calories to come from off of our body. And so these are some ways to get the calories to come off our body. If they're not coming off our body, that means we're eating too much, basically. So here's some ideas here. So how to create a calorie deficit. One is pre-plan your meals. Plan your meals ahead of time, and so you know what's in them, so you can actually make sure they're in a lower calorie amount. Number two, increase your protein level. Protein actually takes more calories to digest. It actually stays in your system longer, keeps you fuller. And it helps build lean muscle. So a lot of good reasons to increase that protein. It's going to help you with this calorie deficit. High chew factor. University of somewhere, FA, Arkansas, Alabama, somewhere. Did some research on chewing and things like that, and satiety. And the more you chew, the more satisfied you're going to be with less food. So you want to try to chew a little bit more. So you can even just work on that. You can try to count how many times you chew, maybe 30 chews or something before you swallow, or just work on taking your time a little bit more. Don't just gulp your food down. Take your time and chew it, and you'll be more satisfied with less food. So you can be in that calorie deficit. You want to change your environment. You want to try, this is kryptonite over here. So you want to try to get rid of your kryptonites, to get them as far away from you as possible. Superman doesn't go to bed with kryptonite under his bed. He doesn't keep kryptonite in the refrigerator or keep kryptonite in the kitchen pantry. He keeps that away from himself as far away as possible. Now some of you have kryptonites that you need to try to get farther away from you. If your kryptonite is ice cream, it should not be in your freezer at home. You can go out to get ice cream, and you'll do that less often because it's more effort to go out and get ice cream. But that versus if it was in your freezer, you would get it a lot of times. So you need to get that kryptonite farther away, so you use it less. So you're interacting with that less. So there's big temptations. Change your environment to make the good things easier to do and the bad things harder to do, and you'll be a lot more successful at getting this calorie deficit. Mindless eating. There's a lot of great strategies there. If you read the book by Brian Wansink about mindless eating, the plate size thing, cup size, things like that. It works. It actually works. They've studied it. They've told people that it works, and then they go like, no. And then they study those people, and it works on them too. All right, so it does work. It does change how many calories you eat when you have a smaller plate. Even if it doesn't feel like it, just do it. And that can be a way to get your calorie deficit. Substitutions. This is going to be a way to get a different food in place of a higher calorie version. So Sarah's made a great chicken wing chili one time. So it's a lot lower fat, lower calories, and tastes a lot like chicken wings. So that can be an option to substitute in when you're having that kind of craving. Or there's some ways of remaking some of your favorite foods to make them more healthy. So substitute out some stuff to help you with that calorie deficit. Increase your fiber. Most of us aren't getting enough fiber. That also takes more calories to digest. It does a lot of other wonderful things, providing fullness and all that. So get enough fiber in, and I get at least 35 grams or so of fiber in, per day, and you'll be doing pretty good. A lot of people are at like maybe 10 grams of fiber, so it's a big push. It's going to be hard. A lot of that fiber is going to be in those vegetables, really, really good. Raw food, getting more raw food in, increase the amount of raw food. Now, they did some research with rats and stuff. They gave them both sweet potatoes, one that had the cooked sweet potatoes, and one that said same amount of non-cooked sweet potatoes. The ones that had cooked sweet potatoes, they actually ran on their wheel more, but they also gained more weight. So they had just more energy they had to deal with. What that cooking process did, it made more energy available out of that. So, which is great, and from an evolutionary standpoint, we get to, survive on less amount of food, and we can make it stretch farther. But nowadays, we don't have a food shortage, so we don't need that. So eating more raw food is going to allow you to have a lot more stuff and get in that calorie deficit. Keep a food journal. Having a food journal is really going to help you to figure out what is happening, to be able to control the calorie amounts so you can be in that calorie deficit. Soup and salad. Soups and salads, you can go overboard on. You can make a high-calorie soup and high-calorie salad, but typically if you work at it, you can get a low-calorie option of those, and the volume is big. It's a lot of stuff to take in. You eat that, and you're a lot more full. So those can be options. Avoiding your triggers. Sometimes sometimes there are people, that you hang out with, and when you're done hanging out with them, you feel like you need to eat something to celebrate the fact that you finally got away from them, And so those kind of people, maybe you try to hang out with them less. Maybe it's environmental triggers. When you're around in a certain place, you tend to do this more. I mean, it's certain stress triggers. You want to try to avoid those. So when you find yourself coming across those, try to figure out ways of getting around that or experiencing that less of these triggers. Eating by the clock. Sometimes people need to use a timer to keep them on a better schedule. So maybe a 3-4 hour timer. So they eat, and 3 or 4 hours later they got a little alarm that goes off, and they go, okay, I'm going to eat again. So I'm going to wait 3 or 4 hours to eat. I'm not going to do a lot of snacking in the meantime. I'm going to wait to eat again. And or also you may go off and you go, is it time to eat already? And you may go, well, I am a little bit hungry, but I'm not hungry. But you want to actually eat before you get starving hungry. Eat breakfast. Eat breakfast is a good strategy. Exercise and appetite. Exercise can actually decrease our appetite. So doing that is a really, really big help. Now, if you're having trouble with your appetite and things like that in the evening, I would recommend going for a walk or something, or maybe put some exercise in the evening. That time that you spend exercising, if it's an hour or something after dinner or things like that, that's a main eating time for a lot of people. If you're exercising or walking or away from food during that interval, you're going to eat less because the food is farther away from you. So it's a good trick there. Caffeine, it possibly could be a tool there where you actually eat. I mean, it's a hunger satiety kind of thing. It can decrease your appetite. So I think sometimes it can snap back really hard on you, so you really need to watch out for that. But I'm not a huge fan of that one, but it's an option. You could do paleo or vegetarian or something like that, along with, basically it's a bread type carbohydrate restriction is something you could do, and that could get you a calorie deficit. So you say, I'm going to stop eating the breads, the refined carbs, the pastas, those kind of things. And a lot of times that's enough to get a calorie deficit and you start getting weight loss. So sometimes that can be a trick there. Reduce your fat intake. So if you have less fat, you have less calories. It's a good thing. Fat has a lot of calories per gram, so you're having less of that. Sometimes people go too low with their fat though, and they're not full enough. So you got to get the balance of that right. EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. So your workout, the harder you go in that workout, the more you're going to get that excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, which is the afterburn, which could be, in some studies have been cited at 48 hours. I think that's maybe a bit too excessive, but definitely 12 to 24 hours, you could be burning energy at a higher rate. NEAT, it's just neat. I don't know, Bo wrote this up, so I'm not sure that maybe will explain that one, but not eat, maybe that's what it says. But that can get you a calorie deficit. Drink more water. So if you're drinking more water, it's filling you up more. A lot of times our hunger and thirst reflex are confused. Water fills you up more. I even think that sweating can be a good strategy, because when you sweat, you need to drink more water, and when you have more water in your stomach, you can't fit as much food in. And so sweating can be a way to do that. But drink more water. Everything works better with water. Digestion works better. Energy works better. So getting more of that. And so here's some things you can do to get a calorie deficit. Some of these can be quick little things like mindless eating strategies, stuff like that. Some of them are going to be some of these things you got to work on a regular basis. If it's something you got to work on a regular basis, I say choose one and work on that for a while. Don't try to apply lots of things all at once. Pick one thing and work on that really, really well. Focus on it and get it done. So hopefully this is helpful. This is Jeremy Beer saying have fun and be safe.